might just be the perfect snack. It's sugar-free, fat-free, whole grain, gluten-free, low in calories, high in fiber, and a comparable amount of antitoxins as fruit and vegetables. Not to mention, it tastes amazing. This is the story and what we learned trying to grow a year's worth of popcorn. So several years ago we tried growing some popcorn and it was a complete failure. We knew we had some things to improve on and didn't want to give up on this. So some of the things we did to start improving our production was testing our soil, paying attention to how much organic material is in that soil so we know it can hold that nutrition. Then making adjustments using other organic natural materials such as manure, leaves, compost, or whatever things we can get our hands on. It's not something that happens overnight, but it takes time and you can continue to start building your soil. We also started paying attention to our spacing of our plants, making sure they have enough room. A lot of times I would try to squeeze plants in there, get a couple extra in, thinking I'd get just a little bit more production out of it, but then I ended up hurting the overall production of all the plants. And the final thing is really keeping on top of our weeds, especially in the early parts of the season. So I ended up harvesting this popcorn a little bit early. My gut was telling me, let's get this stuff pulled. We were getting so much rain and we were getting cool weather, warm weather, and I was just worried about things sprouting. We need to get this stuff dried down to 16 to 20%. Higher or lower than that, then we start running the risk of things not popping very well. And without any tools to be able to measure that, it's gonna be a little bit of a trial and error. So I'm trying several different methods to dry this year. I've thrown some in some oversized onion bags. I'm gonna let those hang and dry. I've also taken some where I've left the husk on, peeled that back, strung these things together, and then hung them up. I've also removed some of the popcorn from the cob and just laid them out on paper towels. So all these methods are fantastic for drying popcorn out, but it does take several months to get to the ideal range. I want to see if we can try speeding things up and see if we can be popping this stuff tomorrow. So looking online, I found some vague information about drying popcorn in the oven. A lot of times it just says dry it overnight. It doesn't give you a lot of details about whether it should be on or off the cob. Will it work in a dehydrator? How long is considered overnight? So we're gonna find out. So this is probably not gonna be like every extensive option out there, but we're gonna try a couple different things that we can easily compare notes on. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try drying some of this popcorn on the cob in a dehydrator for 6 hours. I'm also gonna try drying some in the oven on and off the cob for 6 hours. And with those, I'm gonna turn the seeds over about once every hour, and I'll probably leave the door open for 5 minutes every hour just to let some of the moisture get out. Then we're gonna try doing one batch overnight, or probably about 8 hours. And we'll do that off the cob, and the door will stay closed and the kernels won't get turned. So we'll see if we see much of a difference between these little tests. We started off by picking some kernels off the cob and laying them across the cookie sheet. I'd recommend using something that's got 4 sides. Don't ask me how I know. We set our stove at the lowest temperature it would go, which is 170 degrees Fahrenheit in our case, and popped them in. So we're approaching the 6 hour mark. I've been trying to monitor this stuff for the last hour or two. And the way I've been doing that is every so often I go in and take about 4 seeds out of the oven, let them cool down a little bit. And I saw this little trick online where you can take a sandwich bag, you throw your popcorn seeds in there, fold it over, and then you microwave it for 2 minutes. So I was thinking, oh, I can do this. I'll reduce any mess that goes along with this. Then if, one of those 4 seeds pop, we got a 25% ratio of 2 of them 50. You get the idea. And so far things have been going very, very poorly here. Like 25% is the best I've got so far. So I don't know if it's something with this, maybe that just the bag is too large, because I do have a large lunch bag and for the number of seeds that I'm testing with. So I want to do two things here. I want to fire up the stovetop because I'm very comfortable with cooking popcorn on the stove. That's how we always do it. And I want to try using 8 seeds. So, now we're just going to double everything. 2 kernels pop, 25%, 4, 50%. So let's see if this makes a difference. Maybe it's something with the bag, or maybe we just aren't getting the results that we're looking for. So I decided to wait till the following day to do all my testing. That way I could have the batch that sits overnight, hurry up, finish up, and then I could test everything all at once. Trying the ones that sat in the oven for 6 hours. So this is what I found. The one that I did in the oven on the cob for 6 hours did the worst. If you look at the kernels, they did open up, but they didn't really actually open up. So I'm going to give this one 0.8 out of 8. So the one that ran the dehydrator for 6 hours did much better. I'll give this one a 6.5 out of 8. There was one that did kind of halfway pop, but it did actually pop open. So the runner-up of all 4 was the one that sat in the oven overnight or for 8 hours off the cob. All 8 of the seeds popped really nicely, but this one gets second place because it required an additional 2 hours. So that leaves us with the grand champion here. It took 6 hours in the oven off the cob. All 8 of them popped. I'm very, very pleased. In the end, I was really pleased that we could be enjoying some popcorn while we wait for the rest to catch up.